Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tooele Happy Hour, starring Jared Anderson and David Weiss, where if head trauma had a podcast, it would sound just like this.
Yeah, head trauma, self-induced. Anyways, all right, so got a last minute one to share with you, Dave, or to chat about with you, get your thoughts. Okay, so we've got to go here. All right. So Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old Marine vet, was on the subway. This guy named Jordan Neely, the pictures you have there on the screen are of the incident. Don't quote me on any of the numbers I put out. I did a precursory search the other day and haven't dug it anymore. But anyways, Jordan Neely is a homeless man who is obviously suffering mental issues, and he was threatening people on the train, and so these three gentlemen you see in the pictures stepped in and put hands on him. Now Daniel Penny, the Marine, put him in a chokehold. That's this long-haired cat right here. He's a Marine veteran. Put him in a chokehold, and Jordan ended up succumbing to the chokehold and died. The police showed up, and, okay, we understand what you were doing. They got a whole bunch of witness statements from everyone on the train. The Neely was, threatening people, swinging at people, and numbers off the top of my head, he has something like 30 arrests over the last 8 years for violent outbursts and assault.
Yeah. I've watched the protests going on. There's a bunch of Black Lives Matters protesters right now in the subways, actually just, hanging out on the tracks so the trains can't move, and they're shouting and banging drums and making a lot of noise and getting a lot of attention over this incident. And I would wonder if both of these individuals were white, would anyone care?
Big question. Well, another issue I have, AOC, our favorite congresswoman, came out and demanded justice. The left, the word is anarcho-tyranny, and that comes from Dostoevsky's books, where bad people are allowed to run roughshod because that's what they do. Good people must not. They must toe the line and suffer through it because supposedly good people know better. And that seems like where the government's trying to push us, or at least the left party of the government.
Now, let me ask you this. Your individual here on the ground that died from the chokehold, was he being violent to other people at that moment?
Yes.
Okay. Was he mentally ill, or was he just... Yeah. And that's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of mentally ill people throughout the history of our lives and beyond were always... I want to say mistreated. Yes, they're put away. They're institutionalized. They're put in jail because they're mentally ill, and there's just not enough resources to take care of them. It's a sad situation. But first and foremost, I mean, like, if you're bit by a zombie and you become a zombie and someone takes you out, they make movies about that stuff, and they make those guys heroes, right? And that's basically what happens with mental illness. It's okay. Maybe it's not as dramatic as Hollywood zombieism, but man, we lose our minds and we get violent, and the straitjacket goes on, or someone takes us out. We can't have violent people in our streets. We can't have violent people in our homes. We all have to abide by some sort of a civilized code of conduct, whether we're healthy or not healthy. And if society doesn't have the resources to take care of the mentally ill, and you're violent and you're mentally ill, you're probably going to be taken out of society. And this is one of those unfortunate scenarios where that happened. And this is going to be the reality going forward if we don't treat mental illness on the streets. And if we don't treat mental illness in our high schools and our, I guess, children now, as everyone seems to be cutting off their genitalias in a fit of insanity. So I see a huge need for mental illness awareness, mental illness help,
intervention.
And then the third step, intervention.
Yeah, we need to, I think, loosen our laws on being able to how do we say this? Forced treatment is what comes to mind, but have some ability to for the community to ensure treatment is given.
Right.
Because, you know, granted, out here in Tooele, we don't have a lot of issue with this, but we have had some. We had a guy that was running around to all of the ladies coming out of the different stores and stuff, and verbally sexually assaulting them. And then on top of that, there was a couple instances where he actually physically sexually assaulted people, and it just kept going. And there's no means for the community to stop that. And the scary thing is that this guy with an inability for us to, I don't know what the word would be, to commit him.
Is it inability or lack of resources?
Well, there is a lack of resources, but there also is an inability. The only time someone can be actually committed is if they one, have a claim of suicide attempt, or two, they have to be shown in court that they can't, like, feed themselves. You know, and how would it be if the police nabbed him up and he was sent off to a mental hospital? Now, if you want to go into a horror story, look at in 81, Reagan came in and they did away with a lot of that. Prior to that, the state had more power to commit someone. And Reagan gets a hit for that, but it wasn't Reagan. It was JFK that got that ball rolling. You know, that's 4 presidents before Reagan. Or 5. And so there's a nightmare scenario from the 60s until the 80s where they slowly defunded the institutions and they became hellscapes. Because they defunded them before they eliminated them. But I don't know. What do you do? But anyways, my comment is, I don't like that the left goes into this firestorm and wants to have this this veteran charged with murder when, I don't know, I think the guy did a heroic thing. It's sad that Neely died. I don't think the Marine intended for that to happen. But what do we do if that Neely guy had killed a few people?
Well, think about how it could be if all those Black Lives Matters people in the rail system shouting and drumming at the moment went and got a degree in how to help people in mental health and put those skills to work helping the people instead of just clowning around.
What
like
if
they
each
are.
one of them gave $100 to a private mental health institute?
I mean, they're unfortunately,
But then
protesting is a waste of time in this situation.
Well, no, it is not. It's turning us into a hellscape of the beginning of, I mean, honestly, they're the damn Red Guard of the Chinese Revolution.
Right. Yes, the communist doctrine is where they spent their money learning in college.
That's all they're doing. But but that's where we're at there.
I wish both families well. I'm incredibly sympathetic towards the mentally ill community. Mm-hmm. And if I was that Marine, I don't know, maybe I'd go to freaking Mexico for a couple of years.
Yeah, or forever. Okay, that's the sad story. Let's have fun stories for a minute. Pornhub, the largest porn site in the United States, blocks Utahns ahead of new age verification law. Until a real solution is, we're reading this from the Salt Lake Tribune also. Until a real solution is offered, we have made the difficult decision to completely disable access to our website in Utah, Pornhub says. They've got this little video. Maybe we can play a minute of it. I don't know.
Shoot it off.
It doesn't look like it'll play. Tribune's not playing Pornhub videos. I'm sure.
Well, how about that?
So, Senator Todd Wheeler picked up the phone Monday and received an angry, profanity-laced tirade from a Utah man upset that he can no longer access Pornhub thanks to a bill the senator sponsored. How bad do you need to tug on yourself?
Well, I was thinking the same thing about McDonald's, though.
Why call your senator and yell at you dirty so and such? You took I was fitting to pull my guts out through my belly button, and you took it away from me.
When you got to pull your root, you got to pull your root, right?
How mad do you have to be? I mean, there's other issues on the board. Now, okay.
At least he took the appropriate means and called his representative. That is the appropriate thing to do. Not go shoot up a school, not go on a subway and punch people. He did take it up the appropriate way.
It's still too funny. Thinking you're getting a phone call about some kind of, I don't know.
It would be cool to listen to the phone call.
Kind of commerce. I wish he would have. That would be my ringtone if I was Wheeler.
But hey, if we're going to go down this rabbit hole, if we're going to ban things that are bad for us, I do want a bill to ban McDonald's and not Burger King. And
hold on. They're not banning it. You have an age verification process. So what happens? Right. Apparently you get on there and you get a prompt that says verify your age. Utah copied a Louisiana law that went into effect 3 months ago, and Pornhub complied with it. And actually there's 13 states, almost word for word. I think Utah's law is verbatim the Louisiana law.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You log on to your Pornhub site, and they're like, okay, first thing I need is for you to hold up your ID and take a mugshot.
There's two ways. Yes, it's either you do it through, it's a third person site where you do a verification of age through your ID, or it actually takes a picture of your face and then does a guesstimate.
You know how much fun you could have. You like take a picture of Joe Biden or Fetterman and have an ID of them.
Even then, it's hilarious that they're taking like mugshots to tug on yourself. But anyways, I'm not totally against the law. I'm not for it. I'm not anything else. But after the Louisiana law went through, Pornhub in Louisiana had an 80% drop in visitors. And there's like 13 states that have the verbatim law. So Pornhub, there were 3 states, Louisiana, Arkansas, and another, that already went through them. Pornhub complied with them. But I think after the drop, Pornhub decided that, we've got to take a stand here. And So Pornhub just outlawed Utah until they rewrite the law. I don't know. I don't think this is a game of chicken that Pornhub's going to win. You know,
Right.
honestly, I mean, are all the men, you know, where one arm's bigger than the other, going to go up to the state capitol and picket or anything? I mean, seriously. And
Right. And they got this process going on for cryptocurrency. If you want to buy cryptocurrency, you're going to have to take the mugshot with the ID, and then you have to like provide digital fingerprints, and then you have to like give them a DNA sample and basically everything that you could imagine to
so
identify
why
yourself.
don't, if you've got to give them a DNA sample, why doesn't Pornhub and them get together? I mean, that'd just be step 3 of the. But anyways, I don't know. It's Pornhub's making the stand. Maybe the Utah legislatures will back down, but this one I don't know.
Well, I do feel very, I don't know. I don't think Todd Wheeler should be spending all his time trying to, I don't know. I think this is an issue that isn't as important as my potholes in my street.
I agree.
And I wonder, like, okay, even if you stop porn on the internet, are boys going to stop tugging on themselves?
I don't think the idea is to stop porn on the internet. The idea is to make it so that it's inaccessible to underage people.
But you know they're going to collect the data of everyone holding their shot,
Dude, you know.
and they're going to lose it
I'm
somewhere
telling you,
from a hacker, and it's all going to go out.
When Pornhub was shopping for that third person verification, the NSA said, "We got you." You know it, right? The NSA's like, "Please." The CIA's in there, FBI, they're in the Hoover buildings in there. I mean,
And then if you have to run for senator or Congress, or if you have to do something political with your life, that's coming out. That's going to be the dirty air.
Pornhub.
Yeah, here's your Pornhub
Here's
profile.
his mugshot. Notice the black rings about his eyes, his messy hair.
And it's going to end up being one more form of control over the average citizen who, you know, it glorifies himself
I
on
agree.
vacation.
And Pornhub, this last, what was it, 2020, became a site where certain people running for office, none of the national guys, but state guys that couldn't get access to commercials or got kicked off of YouTube because maybe their commercials were spicy, which were all right-wing guys, made commercials and put them on Pornhub.
So you can. So Pornhub is actually, believe it or not, it's more than porn. It is an actual video hub where people are putting everything that they are banned from doing on YouTube,
Well,
to include podcasts and radio shows and all that stuff. So they might have actually evolved into a competition of YouTube had they been allowed to exist in this form.
well, except for, you know, the still having porn part. I don't know. I'm not going to say I agree or disagree. I do think it's unhealthy for, you know, 13 or 14-year-olds, especially people younger, to watch porn. I think that rewires their brain in ways that are, you know, that they're going to have to deal with later when they go to pair bond with someone or whatever else. But I do think it's hilarious that Pornhub took such a hit in Louisiana's law that they chose to make a stand, and Utah just happens to be the place where that stand is made. So on my timeline in Facebook, I see all of my left-wing friends. They are screaming about it.
You mean people are actually saying, I'm against this?
Yes.
Publicly.
Yes, and they think that what they think, because let's face it, the left, and this is for all you guys on the left, you never look underneath the surface. They think that Utah banned Pornhub. No, Utah copied Louisiana in adult protections or children protections on not just Pornhub. Apparently, it's on all of the naked people sites.
Well, you know, it would be a lot easier if we all had chip implants that could just validate our age verification when we sign on to the Skynet.
Now you're porn for the NSA guys.
I just gave them an idea. Didn't I?
Well, no, I'm sure they still had it. They were just waiting for someone in the open air to say it. But no, but it's so the left thinks, the people on the left, you know, we don't need to name your names, but you think that Utah banned it. They did not. Utah just put a law in place and Pornhub actually shut it down. Mm-hmm. And this is a law that was enacted in up till now 3 other states that Pornhub complied with. It's just they took such a hit in compliance with it that they wanted to take this stand. My question is, I think Pornhub should have had pause for a minute and said, wait a second, when we demanded age verification, did we lose people because they didn't want a mugshot or didn't want to give us their ID? Or did we lose underage people? Or what's the combination and mix of those? So it's all interesting thoughts, but I still think it's hilarious. Someone called up Senator Wheeler and screamed at. I got out my best lotion and my pack of Kleenex and you son of a bee. I got to use my imagination.
I'm sure it was quite the conversation.
Okay, this is off of CBS News. I'm telling you, this sends signals to me in one way, and we'll cover that in a second. Federal agents break into the wrong hotel room and interrogate a man during a training exercise. Federal agents conducting a training exercise at a Boston hotel broke into the wrong hotel room and detained an innocent bystander, the FBI confirmed Wednesday. The FBI said its Boston division was assisting the Department of Defense in conducting a training exercise around 10 p.m. Tuesday. Based on inaccurate information, they were mistakenly sent to the wrong room and detained an individual, not the intended role player, and thankfully nobody was injured. Oops. So they kick in the door. Some Delta Airlines pilot who's on a layover. They handcuff him, start interrogating him, throw him in the shower, turn the shower on, you know. And here's what it sounds like to me. They don't state this, but it sounds like the DOD was having some type of maybe Sears training, you know.
Yeah, information extraction.
Yeah, Sears training is escape and evade training, whatever. Something like that. Simulating an interrogation. Mm-hmm. And they got the FBI guys in on it, and the FBI guys like, yeah, we'd love to train. So they go kick the door in thinking they're going to get some buck sergeant from the 451st or whatever. And some airlines pilots in there, red-eyed because, you know, he just got done flying somewhere, banging a waitress and getting drunk. And they started interrogating him. And okay, so here's what I want to say. One, why is any of that training being held at a commercial hotel? I don't give a shit. Something like that exposes private citizens to danger for your punk ass training. And that should not be done. I don't know. Maybe we should argue some gray line on the Third Amendment. I don't care. What it shows me is that our federal law enforcement, and there's a lot of stuff coming out about the J6 trials where they rounded up the Proud Boys, but our federal law enforcement has carried zero accountability for their actions for too long.
You mean the government doesn't have any responsible?
I know it's great, but they, you know, so. And maybe all law enforcement does. So we maybe need to rethink what we're building here.
Well, this kind of makes me think about that one incident in Layton, where the individual he was not interested in displaying the proper paperwork upon his vehicle, or producing the proper paperwork when asked. So the Layton Police Department surrounded him. One yelled, "Gun, gun, gun," and they shot him.
Oh, was that kid that died? But he was a sovereign citizen, is what he was claiming.
Was.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
Well, they showed him.
yeah, but man, the sovereign citizen stuff. I have a.
When the slaves wouldn't bow down to their masters, they got beat. And in a way, we are property. We have our birth certificate. We have our visas. We have our passports and all other forms of identification. And, even Kunta Kinte had to know when to run and when not to.
It is funny when you watch a video of any type police interaction where they just make demands of people, show me your ID, a guy just walking down the street, and they get sued for it all the time. But I think
happens to me all the time in Europe, actually. Like in Europe, I don't mess around. The cops come, they look at me. I'm kind of like, I'm not brown skin, but I'm definitely, you can tell I'm not white. And Muhammad Light. Muhammad Light. That's me.
Yeah.
So, they'll surround me and then they'll be like, "Papers, please." And then I'll show them my military ID and they, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" But it happens. It's normal everywhere around the world.
We do need to think about what we're building here. Was that the design and the intent? And maybe we're running off the tracks. I don't know. And I'm saying this just after a few minutes ago. I recognize the ridiculousness of me saying that I think it's insane that crazy people are allowed just to run roughshod. So how do you combine those two? I don't know. How do you combine a police force? Because our police force is handicapped when it comes to dealing with some situations like that. Whereas Neely, a black man, a police officer, would think twice about even approaching and talking to him, because you get that outrage. Had Neely been a white guy, this wouldn't have made it onto local news. It'd be on page 14 of some underground New York paper. But right now we're in a circumstance where everyone wants to boil over race war. All right. But so that's what they did. They let him go and let it go away. Honestly, I think that the FBI agents and the DOD who performed this should be called to the floor. Maybe not fired, maybe not reprimanded, but someone in charge should say, "Are you retarded?" And that's what should happen there. So whoever's in charge of the top guys who cleared this off should call the guy who cleared it into their office and say, "How retarded are you?"
If they're allowed to use the word retarded. Remember that word's been banned.
I'm sorry, I can't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you, neurodivergent? I don't know what the hell the word is. How many chromosomes are you back?
I just can think how much money that Delta pilot's going to make that layover. Oh,
maybe.
Sue them hard.
Maybe.
Harder than Pornhub.
Okay. This one is second favorite story. Indiana councilman identifies as a lesbian woman of color and sparks outrage. Delaware County, Indiana, a Republican councilman in Indiana has sparked outrage from the political left after saying he identifies as a lesbian woman of color. Delaware County Councilman Ryan Webb, 46, who is a married father of 5, announces his gender transition on Facebook.
Brave.
After much consideration, I have decided to come out and finally feel comfortable announcing my true, authentic self. It is with great relief that I announce to everyone that I identify as a woman, and not just any woman, but a woman of color as well.
Yeah.
I guess this would make me gay/lesbian as well, since I am attracted to women. Jesus.
Well, now you've seen it all, Jared.
You can't build an intersectional ladder and expect it either to not be abused or laughed at. That's all I had to say. To avoid confusion, everyone can continue to address me as Ryan or Councilman Webb. He continued, I also retain my preferred pronouns of he, him. However, this will in no way diminish my true identity as a woman of color.
I'm proud of him, Jared. You proud of how open he is?
He later edited the post to say, it has come to my attention that I am more than likely the very first lesbian woman of color in the history of the Delaware County to serve on the county council. I am honored to be the one to shatter that glass ceiling.
It's almost like when Bill Clinton was our first black president.
He also posted a comment purporting to contain a family heritage, including a Cherokee great-grandmother.
So he is the original Pocahontas.
Oh, okay. So the LGBTQA plus,
The alphabet people are upset about this.
they were up in arms.
Right.
If he was serious, I'd sing his praises, said Charlize Jameson, a transgender female who addressed the council last Tuesday. But instead, I know better. Actually, it's this lady was, if he was serious, I'd sing his praises. Probably sounded like a commercial announcer guy.
Big beard.
But instead, I know better. We all do. I know better because of his history making hateful anti-trans statements on social media and disrespecting one's pronouns. He has purposely and intentionally misgendered me, ridiculing my own gender identity. And that is not something trans people do to one another.
I think this guy's going to get reelected.
Okay, I don't know. But I will say, if he does, that's a good place to live. And if he does not, that's a place to move away from. Mm-hmm. Anywhere the left has taken control of is dying. So, the way to decide is because they can they can elect Democrats, sure. But anywhere the left is taking control of, you need to leave.
Well, look, that's like when the mentally ill people start voting, and this is what happens. People focus on transgenderism and alphabet soup pronouns and colored flags rather than the people that are sick on the streets, homelessness, housing prices. Basically, everything is being focused on this gay transgender issue.
It's not just that. It's victim versus normal. And the victims have to be held up. Normal people must pay the price for their normalcy. Anyways, the Red Guard, a student activist group demanded his resignation. To clarify, this is coming from Webb. To clarify, I never claimed to be trans anything. I simply express my own gender identity. I am being dead serious. This isn't a joke. I said what I said. I don't know what to tell you. You don't get to question me. You do not get to require proof from me. You were part of the movement that helped establish these rules and set the bar, okay? You don't get to come later when someone else joins the club that you don't want in. You don't get to question how I identify. I don't know. It's hilarious.
It would be hilarious if it wasn't so real.
Yeah.
But that's where we're focusing all our energy now.
It's a huge waste of time for that to be an occupation of a county council. but it's a huge waste of time where the rules and the demand for that waste of time has been set out by the left.
And again, I look at this as a mental issue. Transism
Hands down.
is without a doubt some sort of mental illness of profound consequence, especially if you chop your parts off. You don't get those back. So I think the focus should be on preventing people from chopping parts off when you're not of age to modify your body.
I wonder how to enforce that, but if we let it happen, imagine the tidal wave of lawsuits in 20 years. Lawsuits and suicides from people who demolish themselves to a point of where they never feel any pleasure. But that'll be for the future to decide. I don't know. What I do know is we read about late stage Rome when the emperors were making eunuchs of all their slave boys so that they could rape them. And I guess they didn't have that part in their way. I wonder if the future is going to look at us like that. I'm just throwing that thought out there. Okay, so the Navy has decided to use an enlisted drag queen for their recruitment person.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. I do have some conspiracy thoughts on this, like black pilled thoughts, like stuff like this is going to make it so that our military, especially our Navy, the one branch of the military that is constitutionally authorized, the Army's not, the Air Force is not, but the Navy is the only one that is. Will it make the Navy become, overly weird? But what I want to cover on this is the different headlines that different news has. So Fox News, critics explode over U.S. Navy's use of drag queen to solve blank, Fox News again, U.S. Navy under fire, recruiting pitch featuring drag queen, The Independent. Drag queen fronting U.S. Navy's recruitment video fires back. Yahoo, Republican senators question Navy's use of drag queen.
I wonder what the question is.
CBN, Christian Broadcast Network, Navy tries to solve recruiting crisis with drag queen. Daily Mail, former Space Force commander blasts Navy for using, and I suppose that ends up with a drag queen.
Blasts Navy for using.
Yep. Now,
that's kind of like, is that comedy?
I don't know. What? Newsweek says Navy using drag queen Harpy Daniels. I guess that's their name.
You want to pull them up?
We can. But I was reading through these, and then you get down further into the left one, and so the difference, I guess we could look at this between Yahoo and Fox, where you've got right and left. And the center, the right either puts the Navy as the subject center or the critics as the subject center. But blank critics. And then you go to the left, like Yahoo News, and Republicans are the center. So it's just, when I was looking up this story to do a story about it, because honestly, I don't give a shit. I'll be honest. I don't care if the Navy can get more enlisted people by having a drag queen on there. Good on them. Whatever. I mean, the Army tried the Two Moms cartoon and had failure. Where the Russians, they at least have a sniper on theirs, and the Marines are coming back with the tough commercial. But if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I told you so.
It's just our tax dollars.
But the interesting thing to me was how the different news media compare the two, mention the two, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure one news article he's going to be a hero. The other one is how dare they?
It's positive. Well, I mean, even Fox. Fox is Fox is doom and gloom about the story, but positive to the critics. And Yahoo is negative and doom and gloom to the critics, positive about the story. You know, but I mean, honestly, I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
I really don't. I mean,
I can't say I don't care. I would rather they didn't do this. I don't think we should be promoting people like that in the military. I don't think mental illness is healthy. I don't want, I could only imagine being the enlisted individual that is supervised by this guy. I mean, imagine your supervisor's a drag queen.
Yeah, what's his rank?
Yeoman, I believe.
A yeoman? What's a yeoman? Okay, I don't want to watch a YouTube video of it.
It's a Navy rank, I guess.
Yeah, is that like an E4? Yeoman second class. No, yeoman is a ship driver. They work in the second class. Harpy Daniels, non-binary, was a digital ambassador. Huh.
Digital ambassador. What the heck is that even?
I don't care.
Well, there's the face of the new Navy.
Jesus Christ.
You know, try it at least once to make sure you don't like it.
Ugh.
You go home and like look at yourself in the mirror. I don't know. Not in the Navy. I remember I would get chewed out if my boots weren't polished properly. Now this. How do you... God, it makes me furious. Because we have standards. We're supposed to present ourselves in a certain way on and off the field. I mean, this is our soccer team, right? So this is how he's representing it. And
non-binary, it's a they, them.
Yeah, well, whatever. His battleship should get sunk.
Imagine, like, I don't know. Anyways, that's that. But
so now we're promoting mental illness in the military. But anyway, I repeat myself.
How a fire went from a prescribed burn to out of control in an instant near Banff.
Now, where's Banff?
Canada. Windier than anticipated conditions are to blame for a prescribed burn near Banff, growing out of control on Wednesday evening, causing several evacuations and dense smoke over the Trans-Canada Highway, says Parks Canada officials. I guess that's like their thing. Fire crews began work. I mean, is it really even a country? I mean, Canada, give in. I'll try to become the next state. Fire crews began work on... Dude, how jealous would Texas be if Canada joined us one whole state? It'd be a big state. Texas would lose its shit. It's already getting beat by Alaska.
Well, I wonder how many... it would turn blue. It would definitely turn the country blue if we took Canada.
Whoa, maybe not in the middle. I know the coasts would. I don't know. Maybe. We'd introduce them to guns and barbecue, and maybe they'd be all right. Fire crews began work on a planned burn north of the Banff town site between Banff. Okay, it's Banff. I mean, vowels are expensive up there, I guess.
Banff
Avenue and Highway 1 on Wednesday around 4 p.m. Its temperature soared to the mid-20s. 2 days before the full ignition was to take place amid forecasted cooler and wetter temperatures Friday. However, as firefighters were backlining pre-burning grasses in order and other potential fuels to outline the controlled burn area. So what they do is they burn down fuel in to make like a barrier, a non-flammable fence. Okay. Don't ask me how they do it. That's just what I understand. A sudden wind shift caused the blaze to jump to the east side of Banff Avenue, where it grew about 3 hectares beyond the 300-hectare control area. Officials deemed the fire out of control on Wednesday evening, and multiple areas of Banff Avenue were evacuated, but it was reclassified as being held. So, 11 p.m., they kind of got it under control. They're just, going through, it wasn't anyone's fault, no big deal. And I'm just going to go down to the story. We'll dwell on the picture. There's the picture of the burn, right? They're supposed to be burning somewhere else, and they end up burning right there, right? And there's the firefighters right there. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Go back up to that picture. Do you notice that they're all very colorful? I like their colors.
Their uniforms, yes. So the window for prescribed burns was narrowing, the experts say, and they shouldn't have done it. It was a Goldilocks issue. How did we dare do that? Hindsight is 2020. Humana, on down. A number of the firefighters working on the prescribed burn Wednesday were part of the Woman in Fire Training Exchange Program, WT-REX, taking place in Banff. So, this cream of the crop women international firefighter training started this fire. So,
careful where you go with this, Jared. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Now,
long pause.
Maybe transes aren't that bad.
Well, good for these women. I think they got it under control.
Good job, ladies.
I think Utah's ready to let you train over here.
I just thought it was hilarious. The Women International Firefighters Training starts Canada on fire.
They fixed it.
This was kind of a trans-oriented show today, Dave.
Go figure. It seems like that's the big topic of the year.
It was kind of I'm just going to redecorate our show here. I don't think we need to show any more stuff on. But it's kind of a big trans one. I just wonder if, I don't know, that woman firefighter training that made me laugh, because I stumbled over that as I was reading the other trans story. It was like in a headline pop-up. The
trans highway.
The county councilman. And if I was a comedian, I would be right now working on a joke, about how, transes need to get into firefighting, because,
they got to do something.
Well, it's not just that, but so the transes, they get into swimming and they take the gold, and then weightlifting and they take the gold, and MMA and they take the belt, and I wonder how this would have gone up in Canada with the International Women's Firefighter Program had it not that we had a few on there. But that's the show, everyone.
And that's the news.
That's the news. Well, yeah, it doesn't look like we have any comments rolling in tonight, so yeah, we'll let Dave go home and nurse his hangover. But yeah,
Peruvian tequila, stay away.
So, closing comments, Dave. Anything you're watching out for?
No, I'm just not watching out for anything right now. I'm going to go home and take an Alka-Seltzer or something.
Yeah. All right.
I'm glad I didn't throw up in your studio, though.
Yeah, me too. It would have been rough to finish the show with the acidic ambiance that would have caused. But yeah, so I don't know. The Delaware County Councilman from Indiana, Mr. Webb, good on you.
Setting the standard.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of I can say I don't disagree with the Utah legislator saying if you're going to, we need to have protections for teenagers. I don't like the idea that you have to provide your ID for it. But then again, I'm not a consumer, so I think it's funny.
Yeah, and the left probably thinks the same thing about gun control, and everybody's got their topics. I'm still out there gunning the ban McDonald's and Burger King.
But gun control still has all those controls.
Can't win, can you?
I mean, gun controls, guns are the most regulated thing we have.
No, I thought it was freedom.
Well, yeah. Why do I have to repeat myself? But it does kind of complicate the First Amendment with that. That you have to verify your age in order to practice the First Amendment, which I would think pornography falls under the First Amendment.
If you buy a cell phone and you're over the age of 18, then your signal should broadcast that. True. My honest opinion is I think pornography should be up to the parents to control. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you have parental controls on your kid's phone anyway?
Yeah. And it's one more step on the right perspective of government for enforcing controls, and the right, they go from a different direction while the left comes in from a different direction, and eventually it just narrows it down to the point where you're completely controlled.
Yeah,
and that's an unfortunate
either way we're
aspect
screwed.
Of government.
Either way, no matter what. But good on the constituent who
stuck up for himself.
He was trying to get his jerk on. He just couldn't. His favorite internet porn site had locked him out.
Let him down.
It is funny that Pornhub and this is just me reading into it, but I think Pornhub, after noticing an 80% drop in visitors after Louisiana put their bill in, I think it freaked him out. Because I imagine the people that own Pornhub are making bank.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're like drug dealers. It probably has a lot of the same. If we were to cut people's heads open, it'd probably have a lot of the same, symbols in the brain as an addiction.
Probably.
But
it's, do we do that with vaping? Yeah, we do, don't we? We have to show our ID when we vape. We have to show our ID when we get pulled over by the police, even if you're a sovereign citizen.
Buy a beer, to buy cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, once the chip implant comes, it'll be a lot easier, people.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just, it's insane. And phones are just going to become more, or I would say handheld communication devices are just going to become more intrinsic and more important to our community, to our society.
Yeah.
PC laptops are going to go away in probably the next 10, 15 years. Your phone will be able to power everything you do throughout your house. So I don't know. But anyways, so, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to find out the true story behind the Pornhub ban. That's a funny story, though. Someone called their state senator.
I bet you a lot of them got phone calls.
Yeah, but about that. I'm sure he gets constituent calls all the time. Like, I got to talk to you about this billboard that's on this, piece of property of mine. I really want to make it bigger. Well, whatever, Can you rezone me? I'm really looking hard to get this done. Or, why are my taxes so high? But one guy, you dirty bastard. I was gonna play Spider-Man this morning, and you made it so I couldn't shoot webs.
And that's a wrap.
We'll see you guys later.